I wasn't planning on leaving for a whole year. When I bought my 18 acres on the edge of Silver Ridge County, all I wanted was quiet. My tiny cabin sat in the middle of a cedar grove, far from the noise of the world. Then my company sent me to Germany for a temporary assignment. 4 months turned into 6, then 12. Before leaving, I did everything right. Check mark, I paid my taxes in advance. Check mark, I had a neighbor check on the cabin monthly. Check mark, I left clear markers and signs around my property boundary. And most importantly, I didn't sign anything with the nearby HOA. The Meadowcrest Estates HOA had been trying for years to convince me to voluntarily join, because my land bordered their luxury subdivision. They wanted my acreage for future expansion, a clubhouse, maybe even tennis courts. Every time I declined, they smiled on the surface, but the resentment simmered underneath. So off I went to Germany, thinking everything back home was stable. I was wrong, returning home to a nightmare. After a year overseas, I pulled into Silver Ridge, excited to breathe my own air again. But when I reached the old gravel road that led to my land, something felt wrong. The trees looked thinner, the air smelled like fresh asphalt, and then I saw it. A massive stone entrance gate where my dirt driveway used to be. Large letters arched across an iron sign. Meadowcrest Estates, Phase 2. My stomach dropped. Phase 2. On my land. I drove up to the gate, punched the call box button, and waited. A woman answered. Meadowcrest Estates, this is Linda. Are you a resident? No, I said, shaking with anger. This is my land. Open the gate. I'm sorry, sir. Phase 2 is residents only access. If you'd like to inquire about lots, please visit the sales. I hung up. My land was behind the gate. My cabin was behind the gate. What happened while I was gone? I didn't wait. I parked my truck, climbed over the side railing, and hiked through a patch of woods onto my property line. And then I saw them. Not one, not two. 2 huge mansions sitting on perfectly manicured lawns, driveways paved, garages built, sprinklers running, the entire suburban fantasy. On my land, where my cedar grove used to be, I stood there in total disbelief. That grove took decades to grow, and it was just gone. I marched toward mansion number 1, where I saw a woman gardening. Excuse me, I said, trying to stay calm. Do you know who built these houses? Oh, the HOA and Suncrest builders. She chirped. We were lucky to get this lot before prices jump. Phase 2 is so exclusive. This is my land, I said flatly. She laughed. Actually laughed. No, sweetheart. This is Meadowcrest property. Maybe you're lost. Lost. No. I was about to burn the HOA to the ground. The HOA president arrives, and he smirks. I stormed toward the newly paved cul-de-sac. Several residents had gathered, whispering. A golf cart zipped up the street, carrying a man I recognized even after a year, Frank Donovan, HOA president. He stepped out, arms smugly crossed. Well, look who finally returns, he said. Thought you'd sold this land. No, I snapped. I never sold anything. Frank shrugged. Well, we assumed abandonment. So the HOA declared eminent. I cut him off. You don't have the power of eminent domain. He blinked. Well, the county approved our expansion. Show me the documents, I demanded. Instead of showing me anything, Frank handed me a folded paper. A bill. Outstanding HOA assessments. $142,880. I stared at it, speechless. You built houses on my land, I said slowly, and now you want me to pay you. Frank smirked. We made improvements. That means assessments. And you trespassing is a violation. The sheriff's already aware. Oh, they messed up. They messed up in a way that was about to cost them everything. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I smiled. Because I remembered something the HOA clearly didn't. The legal trap they walked right into. Before leaving for Germany, I had my land professionally surveyed and filed the exact boundaries with the county. I even paid for updated GPS coordinates so there would never be any dispute. The HOA built both mansions a full 280 feet inside my deeded land. That meant, check mark the houses were mine. Check mark everything built on my land was mine. Check mark the HOA had committed felony-level property encroachment. Check mark, and the kicker. Every dollar they spent was legally considered a voluntary improvement to my property. They had no claim, no rights, no authority, and I had all the documents to prove it. So the next morning, I walked into the Silver Ridge County Courthouse with my deed, my survey maps, my tax receipts, photos of the mansions, the HOA's ridiculous bill. Judge Myers reviewed my documents for less than 10 minutes before leaning back in his chair. Son, these people built two multi-million-dollar structures on land that is clearly yours. Yes, sir, he sighed, rubbing his forehead like he had just swallowed a lemon. This is going to be a disaster. For them, absolutely. For me, Christmas came early. The letter that broke the law. The judge issued an emergency injunction the same day. A county sheriff, accompanied by a legal courier, delivered official notices to the HOA board, Meadowcrest Estates, the developer, the homeowners living in the mansions. The letter read, immediate cessation of occupancy, structures located on private property not belonging to Meadowcrest Estates. Ownership legally reverts to the deed holder. My name. I heard screaming from outside as the notices were delivered. Frank, the HOA president, stormed across the lawn toward me. This is theft, he howled. It's called property law, Frank, I said calmly. You should try reading it. You can't just take people's houses. You built them on my land. A crowd formed. Residents yelled. Someone cried. Someone else called me heartless. But I didn't feel even a shred of guilt. They destroyed my cedar grove. They stole my land. They built mansions where my home once stood. And now the consequences were landing squarely on their heads. The developer panics and makes a huge mistake. 2 days later, the CEO of Suncrest Builders tried to negotiate. We'll buy the land, he said. Name your price. Not for sale. We'll sue you. You built houses on my property. Please, sue me. He went pale. They knew they had no legal standing. So they offered something else. Let us move the houses. Oh, I laughed. I laughed so hard I had to sit down. Move them, I wheezed. These are 10,000 square foot concrete poured foundations. You'd tear them apart. The CEO swallowed. So, you want cash? No, I said, I want you gone. What do you mean gone? You have 2 weeks to remove every trace of HOA construction from my land. The gates, the roads, the signs, the landscaping, everything. That will cost millions. Not my problem. And the houses, they stay. They're mine now. He stared at me in disbelief. You're taking 2 luxury mansions. I didn't take anything. You gave them to me. The HOA falls apart. The news spread like wildfire. Homeowners demanded refunds. The developer blamed the HOA. The HOA blamed the developer. County officials blamed both. Meetings devolved into screaming matches. Half the board resigned. Frank tried to keep control, but the community wanted blood. Meanwhile, I moved into mansion number 1, the one with the infinity pool overlooking the valley. They had installed heated floors, marble counters, a full theater room. Everything top tier. On my first night there, I stood in the giant glass living room, looked out at the view, and laughed. A year ago I left a tiny cabin. Now I had 2 mansions. For free. The final blow. The HOA is dissolved 2 weeks later. Everything the HOA built across my land was ripped out. The gate? Gone. The roads? Dug up. The fences? Pulled out. Landscaping? Torn up. But the real death blow came in the mail. Notice of dissolution. Meadowcrest Estates HOA. Turns out, losing 2 multi-million-dollar homes, facing lawsuits from angry residents, and being investigated for zoning fraud was too much. They weren't just weakened. They were gone. Frank tried one last time to confront me, yelling that I ruined the neighborhood. I simply pointed to the sign being bulldozed. I'm not the one who built mansions on land I didn't own. What I did with the mansions, so what did I do with 2 massive luxury houses? Simple. I kept mansion number 1 as my home. I turned mansion number 2 into a short-term rental, and it now pays my mortgage, utilities, taxes, and then some. And the best part? Meadowcrest Estates no longer has an HOA. The remaining residents voted to dissolve it after the chaos. No board. No fines. No Frank. Just peaceful living. Exactly what I wanted a year before, plus 2 free mansions.